Welcome back to the fish room, the little fish room. The big fish room is well underway, but today we are back in the little fish room because it has been about a month since I started using the new Coirtech compostable filter cartridges and filter from Interpet in the Minnow tank and also the tiny frog tank. And I haven't cleaned them because I just wanted to see how well they would perform, and it's quite surprising. Now, if you missed it, about a month ago I set up this little tank for some dwarf African clawed frogs. I have always wanted them. I want to do a big escape for them at a later date, but I wanted to get them somewhere that they could get settled and just chill out, and I could watch them and sort of learn how to keep them and learn how to best keep them in an environment that I can keep a close eye on. And this has been perfect. They are doing so well. But on that tank, I wanted to try a completely new product that I'd never seen a company do before, and that is these funny little black and brown pads. Now, this is a new thing for the hobby. There isn't really any other companies doing a compostable or biodegradable foam for your filter out there. Now, I know in the last video there was a few comments that were like, well, why would you want a biodegradable foam? And I will talk about that in a minute, because there is a massive reason why this is a huge step forward in the hobby, and one that we probably need to foster and move forward with. Yeah, let's just show you how it's all going. So this is the Minnow tank, and as you can see, the water is like crystal clear, apart from a little touch of algae that I've had growing on this wood for a while now, to be honest, and there's no algae eaters in here, so it's no real surprise. There's lots of snails in here, look. There's one there, it won't focus, there we go. And you can see all their poop on the wood, but they don't seem to like that algae, and they don't seem to like this hairy algae here. And yeah, but that's just part and parcel. It's a natural style aquarium. I'm not overly bothered about that. Now, the filter on this tank is just up in this back corner. Now you can see I've got some of the new filter pads just here ready. Oh, I think that plant had rooted into that one, ready to go in if I do need them. But you can still see that filter is giving a good amount of flow all around the aquarium. And I would say the water in this tank is now actually really good. I've tested it a few times and the clarity and the quality is great, and the minnows are loving it. Now, the other tank that we did set up with one of these filters, you can sort of see it behind the wood there, and you can see the trickle of water coming in, is this one, which is the frog tank. Now, the frogs are doing really well. There's one there as well. Look, hello. Blub, 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 blub. Anyway, yeah, so this tank is performing really well. It is a little bit dirtier, this tank, because it's obviously newer than the Minnow tank. The Minnow tank was running a lot longer before this one. And also this wood is a bit of a nightmare because, yeah, it's just growing biofilms and things. So, yeah, that's part and parcel of it. But it's no great worries. It's a natural style aquarium. We've got some leaf litter in there. It is what it is. It's not exactly bad or toxic for them. It's just a little bit more natural. So we have been siphoning out that muck, and at some point that wood will stop growing all that muck. But for the time being, it's not too bad. And we might have to find some snails to put in here to help us out. But again, the water quality and the clarity is spot on, really. Other than a little bit of mistiness on the glass that we'll clean off in a minute, it's been doing really well, and the frogs are smashing the frozen food. They're all out and about. Oh, and one other thing that everyone was worried about, there is a lid on there. Do not panic, I did have a lid, I just didn't show it in the last video, but yeah, there is a glass lid stopping them from jumping out. I'm also running it quite far down, so yeah, I don't see any problems in them getting out. They've really not bothered. There's one sat there, look, hello. Now, the first thing I do want to talk about is why I think these Coirtech filter cartridges have a place in the hobby. Now, most beginners start off their life in aquarium keeping with a cartridge filter. It's just the way it is. Most standard small aquariums come with a cartridge filter straight off the shelf because it's easy for the consumer. You take it home, you put the cartridge in, you run the cartridge for whatever length of time the company says for you, a month, 2 months. You take the cartridge out, you throw it in the bin, you put a new cartridge in. Very simple. Now, the problem with those cartridges that every company uses is they are full of plastics, they are full of medias, they are full of different things that aren't really, well, they don't break down. I have read a terrifying statistic that it can take thousands of years for these cartridges to break down. And when you're talking about replacing something monthly or every other month or whatever it might be, that's crazy. Like, proper crazy. Whereas the coconut fibres in this, you know, it's 8, 10, 12 years, depending on the circumstances, it will break down in our lifetime. And that is the reason I think Interpet are onto an amazing thing with these Coirtech filter cartridges, because, well, yeah, how great is that we've changed something that drastic in the aquarium hobby? You know, we've already got LED lighting that's taken our energy consumption down massively in the hobby. Filter cartridges and waste in this hobby is the next thing we need to look at. And if we can make steps like this is the start. This is the first product. You think of like the first electric car. You know, it only gets better from here. There is more technology, more infrastructure, more things into it. It's just going to be great. And that's exactly why I wanted to use them and test them and try them out, because, wow, it's just cool. So if we can take these millions of cartridges that are sold worldwide to beginners and change them to something that's biodegradable, amazing. Like, what a great step we are taking forward in the aquarium hobby. Now, I've mentioned beginners several times in this video already, and that's why I'm sat beside my Minnow aquarium, because this is like a super standard beginner's aquarium that I would have set up with someone first getting into the hobby when I was working in the shop. Now, the reason I've mentioned beginners so much is because we need more of them in the hobby. Like, we need people to be coming through the hobby from the foundation and all the way up to keeping whatever you want to keep. Saltwater, jellyfish, I don't know. Whatever you want to end up keeping, everyone's got to start somewhere. And like I say, these cartridge filters are generally the easiest option. Now, veteran fish keepers watching this video, or even myself as a 20-year-odd, yeah, probably longer, but anyway, a long time I've been keeping fish. Yes, we will adapt our filtration. Yes, I would love to run an external filter that's, I don't know, £200-300 on every tank, but that is not what happens in the hobby at all. People need to start somewhere, and that is where these filters come in. Like, it's not about having 10 ton of biomedia or having, big external filters. It is about getting more people into the hobby, ushering them in, making sure they have a successful time, and that means they step up through the ranks. And it sounds mental, but the more success stories we've got, the more they'll tell their friends, oh yeah, my fish tank, it's lovely, really easy to keep, do this, do that, blah, 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 blah. Brilliant. The amount of people that then have the wrong experience starting fish keeping, and they end up, oh no, fish keeping, no, it's rubbish, covered in algae, it was a nightmare to clean, blah, 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 blah. Well, then we've lost them. And if they tell 5 or 6 of their friends that fish keeping was rubbish, we've also probably lost them. They will never keep fish because Bob down the road said that it's too hard and it's a nightmare. So having things that are easy and simple, and it's a simple cartridge in, cartridge out, is perfect. Like I say, yes, it would be lovely if everyone would end up running big external filters and you just use biological media and you've got loads of ceramics in there. That time will come. If they start off in fish keeping at the foundation level and they work through, the time will come where they get to that bigger filtration. But we need to start these people off with something very simple, because I know from working in the shop for that long, if I started telling people that, oh yeah, you've got to strip all the media out of that filter and you've got to pour loads of this in and you buy a tub of this ceramic hula hoop things and you pour them in as well, don't change them, just give them a rinse through, they would have glazed over in the first sentence, or the majority of them would have. They'd have glazed over and they'd have gone, don't know what this bloke is talking about, I'm not doing all of that. I want something that I can literally take it out, throw it away, put it back in. And that is where compostable, biodegradable Coirtech filters come in handy, because this means that we can throw them away and not be worried about the big impact. And I know someone did say, oh yeah, but there'll be fuel costs to get these from A to B. Absolutely. But there will also be fuel costs to get the plastic ones from A to B. Anyway, let's get these filters stripped out and see how they've performed, because in all honesty, the water flow is still really good. The water quality is still really good. I don't know how often they tell you to change these, actually. Carry out 25% water change, fully remove once a month. So we are coming up to the time that actually these do need to be changed. We're probably a week, maybe a week or so overdue, maybe. But yeah, at least then we can have a look and see how they've performed. Right, so let's start off with the Minnow tank. Now, where is this plugged in? Somewhere over here. Can't wait to do the new fish room. Not that one, that one. I'm going to have every plug labelled so that I know which one's which. I need a bucket for this, hang on. Bucket at the ready. Right, so let's have a close look at how this new filter has performed. Now, these filters are the ones that I upgraded. So this is the original CF filter from Interpet, and you can obviously retrofit these new Coirtech sponges straight into the front of this. So this one was retrofitted. The one in the frog tank is one of the new filters that has got them already pre-installed, this one here. So that one we'll clean in a minute. But let's have a look at how much muck this one's caught, because the water talks for itself. The water is crystal clear. This is probably the worst way of trying to clean these, but I've got a little jug here that I want to just try and squeeze these out in to see how much muck. Now obviously you wouldn't need to do this, it's a month. You would just literally take these out, throw them away, compost them in your home composting, or you know, in your garden, whatever, and then get rid of them. You know, put new ones in there and away you go. That is exactly what I'd recommend beginners to do. But that has caught a fair amount of waste. So yeah, rather than using plastic cartridges, those have caught a fair amount. And to be honest, they're still really solid. Like, I reckon I could break it in half if I wanted to. I don't know, no. They're bound with some sort of natural latex, if I remember rightly. I did read it on one of the boxes. And so yeah, they are still really solid. Like I say, you might be able to get that to last for another month or so, but what's the point? Just get it clean, get it clear. This one's way bigger and a bit more, yeah, tricky to get in there, but yeah, you can see the waste that's coming out of it. So they have caught a lot of muck. Well, the water wouldn't be crystal clear if they hadn't caught a load of muck. Now, like I say, that's squeezing them out. It is getting rid of a lot of muck, but to be honest, for the sake of it, you can literally pull a couple of pads out of the new box, like so. That one goes in the holder like that. So that one's in that holder. You have got biomedia in these cartridges. I know there was a lot of people in the comments where they were like, oh, you know, you're taking away all your media, all your bacteria if you're throwing away these pads. You know, all your bacteria is going to be living in there. No, they have got biomedia. So you can see in there, there's like funny little hula hoopy things. And yeah, that's where the majority of your bacteria will be living. So when you're replacing these sponges like that, it's no worries. That is actually one bad thing with some cartridge filters out there, is they have no extra biomedia in them. So when you replace your cartridge, you're essentially starting from day one. You're getting rid of a good majority of your bacteria. Yes, there'll be some living in the rocks and the wood and things in your tank, but you are getting rid of a lot of bacteria if you just throw away the only sponge that's in the filter. So with this one having 2 sponges and a proper ceramic cage full of media, well, you don't need to worry so much. Now those are the 2 old ones, that's a new one. Let's get these sorted out so I don't get all muddled up. Right, those 2 can go in the compost in a minute. Right, give the biomedia a quick dunk and a shake. Just gets any sort of major debris that might be collecting in there out of them, like so. That's it, and then the medias go back in. That one in there, that one in that slot, hang on, in both slots, there we go. Lid, no, not in that one, maybe that way round. Helps if you put the biomedia cartridge in the right way round, because then it sits over the inlet where the pump comes back in. Makes a lot of sense. Right, that one's ready to go. Like, how quick a pit stop is that? 5 minutes, take the old ones out, new ones in, chuck it back in. You can see why beginner fish keepers are sort of given these filters, because that's a piece of cake, to be honest. And then that filter actually has to go behind the lizard. Sorry, Mr. Lizard, you just need to move out the way a minute. I'll just chuck that there for a second. Mr. Lizard can then go back to drinking at the top of the aquarium. I just need to make sure that's situated properly. Oh yeah, that's it. Okay, cool. Now you could do all of that in situ. Like, you could lift that, take the filter sponges out, new ones in, shut the lid and you're done. You don't actually have to take it all out the water to give it a quick maintenance clean. Right, let's switch that back on to get that running. That should fill up with water and we're well away. Off we go. Oh, I just sat in a wet bit. That is horrible. Hang on, let me wipe that down. Right, I've just remembered that I've got some fish in quarantine for this tank downstairs, because I saw them and they're a bit of a different colour to the normal ones you get. So they're fairly common, you can get them fairly often, but in the grand scheme of things of trying to get some male live bearers breeding in my soft water or cold water or warm water or whatever is causing that problem, we've got a little group of fish to go in here. So I'll give this a day or so to settle down. We'll clean the Congo frog tank out now, and yeah, we can get the new fish in here later on in this video and see if they help me tackle that algae. Now, as I was saying, the Congo frog tank, I actually have got a pair of fish that I'm thinking to go in here with the slow-moving water, and the frogs like to inhabit the bottom other than they're darting up to the surface to get air. I have got a pair of fish in here downstairs in quarantine that might work for this tank. But let's get rid of this lid quickly. Make sure I don't drop that light unit in the tank. Sorry for the noise there. Clip that on there. Take those clips off actually, because then I can move the light unit forward and we can get to this filter and see how this one's performed. So we'll just quickly unplug that one, which I believe is that plug there. Oh, first try, good effort. Now this one, I'll be honest, this tank was not a mistake, but it's way too tight to this shelf for maintaining it easily. But it's fine, you know, we are well underway with the garage build, so hopefully soon we will have everything in place that we can get some of these tanks moved down into the garage. Now this filter should just pull out of there, and then I need to get that bucket close because I need to tip it and get it out from underneath this shelf. That was fairly painless, wasn't it? Let's get the light back on there. Right, let's have a look at how this one's done. This is the one that came with the Coirtech CF filters already installed in it. Now with this filter, I'd actually thought I would show you how quickly it is to change over the filter pads, just as you would once a month. You'd give that a rinse off so that there's no muck trapped on it. New one in. Give that a rinse off so there's no muck trapped in it. I've picked up 2 big sponges out of the box. I need a small one to clip to the front of here. There we go. So there is 2 different size sponges that come in the box. One to clip there, one to clip there. That slots back in there. That slots back into that one. And that, except for you get the cable caught, is your filter maintained. What's that? 2 minutes? It's not even that. I can see on the timer on the clock it's 44 seconds. So yeah, you can clean your filter out very quickly. Yes, once in a while, like I said, it's worth taking the bottom off, cleaning out the impeller, but for new people into the hobby that just want a really beautiful fish tank but don't want the work and hassle of thinking about different medias, different things, how great is that? Like 30 seconds, filter change, done. Absolute winner. Now again, these are the old filter pads from this filter, and you can see that they have caught a lot of frog waste. It's a good job I'm doing this on my countertop up in the fish room and not downstairs, because, well, you shouldn't be doing this. Why would you be squeezing out your filters onto a countertop? Well, because I want to show you how mucky and how messy and what they've caught. But yeah, they have performed really well. And again, are these... yeah, they won't break apart again. So even after a month of running, they won't break apart. I could probably, like if I went through and like individually unknitted the fibres, I might be able to get them apart. But yeah, they are still solid 1 month later. I'm really excited for this. This is a great step forward in the hobby. Now, even with the amount of research and design, and literally I know years of work has gone into making these biodegradable, compostable cartridges, they are about the same price as everyone else's cartridge. I believe they are the same price as the old Interpet cartridges. So, you know, why wouldn't you want to be eco-friendly for the same price? Now, this wood always gets in the way because it's a massive piece of wood in a very small tank. There we go, cable around there. I can get the lid back on in a second. Right, oh, and light unit, let's get that back on. So we'll just turn that one back on. That one's back up and running. So yeah, you can save the environment. You can have something that works really well for your aquarium. And it doesn't cost you really any more than it would have done. Like, why wouldn't we be doing this? I think this is a great step forward in the aquarium hobby. Is that back on? Super. So both filters are changed and cleaned, both are back up and running and flowing really nicely. So I'm going to leave it for a couple of days to let them settle back in, and then I'm going to come back and put some new fish in there. I've got a little trio for this and a pair, maybe a trio for that, but I've got a feeling where I've had them in quarantine, the trio that I've got for that have actually turned out to be 2 boys and 1 girl, not 2 girls and 1 boy, which is quite annoying, but I'm sure if I go back to the shop and ask nicely, they will let me swap them over. Also, throughout this video, if you've noticed that my voice is a bit weird, that is because Quinn is at school now. Not proper school, preschool, play school, whatever you want to call it. But he brings home every sickness, illness, cough, cold, horribleness that he can. He just brings them all home. So, yeah, if I sound a bit weird, that's why. It's not I'm trying out some new cool accent voice. Nope, I'm just feeling a little bit rough. But anyway, still having fun making fish videos and still having fun maintaining fish tanks. So that, well, I can't complain, can I? Anyway, I'll bring you back in a couple of seconds, which will be 2 days in the future, and you can see exactly what fish we've got in here and also how well these new filter pads have performed over those, well, first couple of days. Oh, I almost forgot that I'm really blurry. There it is. Did I focus? Yes. I actually forgot that we've got some capsules, some pods to put in these 2 aquariums to help the filters along and to help them sort of, well, just help them with everything. So let's find that packet and chuck a couple of pods in each one. So the pods were actually behind me, which is why I couldn't see them. But yeah, these are the pods that Interpet have designed to run with these filters. So they just essentially help you. They're different bacteria and different enzymes that help you essentially break down all the waste in the tank, helps you with your filter maintenance, just helps you with everything, to be honest. I wish they'd done them for humans, because I could have one right now, and that would make me feel a whole lot better. So, yeah, Interpet, if you're watching this, maybe you could do a human version of this to make me feel better. That'd be great. But let's get one of these in each tank. Is it one? 1 pod treats 50 litres. Yeah, easy. 1 pod in each filter and we're done. So these are the pods in question. They're just like, well, they're like a dishwasher tablet sort of thing. Don't use dishwasher tablets in your aquarium. Only use pods that are designed for your aquarium. But yeah, they've just got a mixture of powders in there, which are different bacteria, enzymes to help your aquarium. Now I'm just going to slip that in the back of there in the water. That will slowly dissolve and release into the aquarium. And then the exact same treatment for the frog tank. I'm going to take all this back apart to get to this one. Should have thought of that before putting it all back together. That one out. Lid up. Pod in. Job done. Super. So now that we've actually done that, I can bring you guys and girls back in a few days' time to see what fish we've put in here. And I don't know which one I'm looking forward to most. The one that's going in here is a bit more wild and a bit more sort of natural looking. The one that's going into the Minnow tank is a little bit more colourful and a little bit more like, not commercial, that's the wrong word. Tank bred, man-made, a bit more colourful and a bit more bright, I suppose. But yeah, we'll let these tanks settle down for a couple of days and then I'll bring you back. We are back. We have got freshly quarantined fish in 2 separate jugs. And I was right, we have messed up on one of the groups. Now, as I suspected, unfortunately, the little pair of wild coloration fish that we've got for the Congo frog tank were male, female, male. So we had a trio and it was the wrong way. So the male has stayed in quarantine downstairs, which I might pick up more females for him and put him in another tank, or I might take him back to the shop and swap him for another female. But we will get more females for them at some point. And we have also got our little trio that will go in that tank. So let's get these quickly acclimatised and I can show you what they are. You boys and girls are going in there and this little jug is going down into there. As always, we're going to give them a bit of acclimatisation. They shouldn't need too long because they've been in quarantine in my house for a few weeks now, to be fair. And they've been absolutely fine. So they shouldn't need a great deal, but we will give them a bit of acclimatisation just to make sure they're used to the water that's in these tanks. So whilst the fish are acclimatised, I just wanted to comment on how well the filters have coped with a filter change. Now, I did wonder whether they would hiccup because of removing all of that sponge, but they haven't, because of that biomedia cartridge or cage, I suppose you would call it, that's in the back of both of these filters. Both filters have been absolutely fine, like haven't even hiccuped. This is 2 days, maybe 3 days actually, but anyway, 2 days later, the water is still crystal clear. There's been no spikes of ammonia, no spikes of anything. I've been testing it to, you know, see if something happens, because sometimes you'll get like a bacterial bloom when you change your filters. But like I say, because of that cartridge that you've got in there with all that biomedia, they haven't hiccuped and they are still as crystal clear as they were the day before I changed the filters. So I'm really impressed with how they work, and the new filters seem to be picking up all the particles and keeping the water clean. You know, you couldn't want much more. Now, both groups of fish have had a bit of time to acclimatise, probably about 45 minutes. Now, because they have come from downstairs in a well-lit aquarium, well-lit quarantine aquarium, and they've moved about 16 foot upstairs, so very similar water parameters and all of that, we've given them a quick acclimatisation, and I'm not going to worry about turning the lights off, but all I'm going to do is I'm just going to dim the lights down. Now, this should be controlling fish room. Yep, so we're controlling both of these lights off of here, and we should be able to just dim them down. There we go. Now the camera's probably auto-corrected a little bit, but you can see that is quite a bit dimmer. So yeah, let's get these fish introduced. Now, going into the Minnow aquarium to hopefully help me with a little bit of the algae, we have a little group of Variatus platies. Now the cool thing with these is Variatus platies are normally like a yellow and red or yellow and orange sort of coloration. This last little male doesn't want to swim in the net. There we go. What was I saying? Yeah, they're normally a yellow and red coloration. These guys and girls are actually a blue and red coloration. So, yeah, a little bit different. I have seen them before, but they've definitely got some different coloured genes in them. Now, I'm hoping that we can have a bit of a test run. We're trying to get some male babies out of these, because in the past I have been struggling with male live bearer babies. Loads of females, hardly any males. So we're going to see that, and I also want to see how well a Variatus platy eats algae, because they normally do quite well, but I sort of want to trial them against the likes of Amanos and things like that, and just see how much they compete with them, and if I can recommend them to you guys and girls as a good alternative algae eater. And the pair of fish that we have got going in here is a fish I've wanted to keep for a while, and that's a little pair of wild coloration honey gouramis. And they are going to look wicked, because the males, when they colour up, are insane. And what I'm hoping for this is that gouramis obviously like to inhabit the top of the aquarium, and the frogs are going to inhabit the bottom. So we should have a bit of activity all the way over the aquarium. Let's give the new fish a couple of hours to settle down, and I'll bring you all back to see them in their, well, hopefully full glory. We are back, and we are with the platies that are in the minnow tank first. Now, the cool thing is, these are a Variatus platy, which are a bit more sort of hardy to cold water temperatures. They've got a slight different shape to a normal platy. They're a little bit more like slender and elongated. Now, the cool thing with these guys is you can see they've been definitely crossbred at some point with some different colour varieties, because of that blue that you can see in them, and also the 3 dots that you can see on the tail, which is normally known as Mickey Mouse in the hobby, because you can see they've sort of got that Mickey Mouse head that's on its side on the back of their tail. So yeah, we've got a male and 2 females. Now what you're seeing there is the male and female. Oh, here's the other female, look. Just in time. Now I'm hoping that these will give me a hand with this sort of funny algae that you can see on the wood here. But I'm not overly worried if they don't, because they're a really pretty fish, and hopefully we'll get a few babies from them. That blue is really nice, and that Mickey Mouse tail looks great. Let's show you the other fish that we got as well. Now these two are definitely a little less showy. You can see the female at the moment is on the right and the male is on the left, but that male, once he settles in, will be like red and sort of like a dark browny black, bits of blue in him. He was starting to show colour, and you can see a little bit of colour in him, just not a massive amount at the moment. But the wild coloration honey gouramis are lush when they settle down, so yeah, I'm looking forward to them. They've got some good floating plants in here to build bubble nests around, and obviously the way that I've got the filter positioned the flow gets sort of stopped by that bit of wood, so it's quite gentle flow for them and the frogs, which is perfect. So they should settle down really well in here. Like I say, not a great deal of colour, and they're not going to do any jobs, but I think they're a wicked fish, possibly for a future scape down in the garage once we get that up and running. Just a frog going across the front there, look. Take a bit of air, sit at the surface for a bit and come back down. But yeah, they're looking good. So I hope you found it interesting. I hope you've enjoyed watching and seeing how these two CF filters from Interpet have been doing, and yeah, really impressed with them. There's definitely going to be more of them in the garage when I get around to insulating it, which I'll probably do now, to be fair, because I've got a bit of time between editing this and filming it, so I better go and get some work done in the garage so we can have more display tanks and we can learn more stuff together. So yeah, cool. I'll see you in the next one.